Shalom and good day, everyone. Today is a holy day unto our Father for those who have understanding of His calendar. For in this world and in this kingdom that we are in, many are under the fourth beast calendar, known as the Gregorian calendar, known as the Roman calendar. Okay, so I want you to take some time and meditate on this picture. For the scripture that is written in this picture is excuse me, y'all. The scripture that is written in this picture comes from Joel chapter 2. For it say, Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of YAHUAH cometh, for it is nigh at hand. For those who have the foundation in you, and I stress this, you must have a foundation in you to understand the prophet's writings, as to also to understand the gospel. Okay. For when you meditate on this and when you think about the Feast of Trumpets, we have many examples in the Bibles to show us what this means. And as I'm speaking unto you, the Father's reminded me to tell you, and you also need to read the book of Joshua when he had them to march around Jericho for 7 days. And that's when he sounded the trumpets and the walls of Jericho came down. It's a message in that. For it relates to the 7-day prophecy. And I know I've been saying this for a long time, but according to my Father will, when the time is for that, I would go back into 7-day prophecy. I talked about it before with you, but I would go back into 7-day prophecy because many do not know where we are in time in relation to Adam and also in relation from creation. Because you have to understand, the dark one has hidden so many things from us, so we will not know where we at. So we will not know where we are at in time. This is why the Messiah is saying to us to watch and pray. He also said unto us that we would know the season that we're in. For those who are watching and praying, we would know the time. Not the time of his coming, but the time and the season we're in. We would know that soon the eagle wings will be sent out to gather us. So those that are watching and praying will not be caught off guard. Okay? So take this time to pause your screen to meditate on that. Also, the Father's reminded me to tell you to read Numbers chapter 10. Because when you meditate on the word trumpets, trumpets, when you look at the history of my people, the Israelites, the Yahusha, okay? When you look at their history, our Father gave them a commandment or an instruction to sound the what we call the shofar, known as the trumpets. And the trumpets is to announce something, such as it declare unto us. It's like today is a holy feast day unto Yah. He also declare unto us the new moon days, the Sabbath days. It also makes announcements, such as an announcement of the coming of a king that many of us are waiting for. We are looking forward to the day when he shall reign in his millennial reign, as written in Revelation 20, as well as many of the prophets have prophesied about that. For he must come to prepare the way for our Father to come. He has a great assignment. For he shall return as a lion. He first came as a lamb, but now he shall return as a lion with a rod of iron. Okay. Is also to announce judgment in the earth as well as in the heavens. So this is very important that we begin to hear and see what our Father wants us to see and to understand what are the mysteries, what are the messages as we go through his holy days and holy feast days. Okay. So today is the first day of the Most High 7th month. I'm still gathering information in regards to the new moon sightings. Okay. So at this time, the calendar is not up yet for the 7th month. However, I'm coming before you today to announce this unto you so you can go ahead and get your calendars in accord. And then when I come back unto you with the 7th new month details, you can compare notes. Again, this is a part of us watching and praying. Okay. So on renewmoon.com, and remember there's many other sites, okay, but I'm just using this for right now. On renewmoon.com, the new moon was seen in Israel and also in America as well as other places. Okay. Now, when you go to this site, they do follow behind the Jewish, the Yahad, the converted. Okay. So they would be a month ahead. Remember, they do not follow the prophets of Yah, such as Enoch. Enoch has the first, second, third writings. I highly recommend that you read it. Please check the video description box to have access to his writings. Also, our Father in heaven has spoken unto us. Yes, there are prophetic writings in the video description box that you must read to understand what is going on now. So, they are in the 8th month because they did not add a 13th month in the year of 2020 to 2021. For Enoch are given mathematical formulas that will align with the heavens and the earth. Remember, the Father give us many confirmation. The Father give us many witnesses. Okay? And through these mathematical calculation, one formula to look at was the 358 rule. And the 358 rule will help you to know when the heavens will produce a 13th month. And everything I'm speaking to you is very simple math, but we have to do our due diligence to keep a calendar record. You can read my ancestors' writings, and it will prove they kept a calendar record of his calendar, and they followed the 3 lights, which was the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. And Mazzaroth is a Hebrew word for the 12 signs. So that's proof and evidence of this. Okay? Everything that I'm speaking to you. You can find it in the King James 1611 Bible, the work of Josephus, Jubilees, trying to think of another book. Many other books that's out here. You will find proof of that. And these 3 lights work together to form one calendar. Okay? So those who've been keeping record, you will see the pattern that is formed through those mathematical formulas. And you will see, according to the prophet's writings and according to the heavens and the earth, a 13th month was produced by the Father's commandments. Not by man's hand, but by the Father's commandments. Okay? Remember, these sacred things are not given to the synagogue of Satan. Remember the song of Moses that is written in Deuteronomy, I think it's 31 or 32. Let me check that now for you. So you can go back and read it. And everything I'm telling you is in the prophetic messages that the Father gave unto you, Israelites and Gentiles, to read. So you will understand what is going on. So the Song of Moses, I like start reading when you deal with the Song of Moses. I like to start reading about it in Deuteronomy chapter 31. But the Song of Moses is listed in Deuteronomy chapter 32. I highly recommend that you read that. And then you understand why the synagogue of Satan does not follow the prophets of Yah. Okay? Does not follow his sacred calendar formulas. Also the King James 611 has the proof and evidence what the heathens been doing. They've been going in his prophets' writings too. But they've been using it in a sinful way to give you their pagan heathen dates. Do you hear me? To those who call themselves Christians. For many of you have been indoctrinated by the Roman Christian Church, which is the fourth beast church. Again, that the prophets of Yah would testify against the fourth beast church and their pagan heathen days that they keep. For in the kingdom to come, even when the Messiah shall reign upon the earth for 1,000 years, we shall keep our Father holy days and holy feast days, such as the new moons, his Sabbaths, the feast of Peshat, which is Passover, and the feast of unleavened bread, Shavuot, which is Pentecost, and the feast of Tabernacles. It is in the prophets' writings. Okay? So this is why you see the Yahad, the Jew, is claiming this as the 8th month, but those who are following the prophets of Yah, we have declared this is the 7th month unto you. For tabernacles cannot be kept in summertime, and they kept it in summertime. Okay? All right. So some fallen places that has seen the new moon, which was on October the 7th, besides Israel, was in Australia, India, Texas of America, and Oklahoma of America. So just go to that site and check that out, and I will come back unto you to bring you details. Okay? So let us first go to the title page, because I'll probably be sharing some things with you that are copyright, and this is for educational purposes only, to edify you. So when we think of the 7th new moon, which is the 7th month of the Most High Calendar, and the Hebrew name for it is Ethanim. In the Babylonian tongue, they would say Tishri. Some things will come into your mind about this holy month. And starting on day 1, it's holy unto the Father. And it's a holy convocation day, meaning that it is a Sabbath day. It is a day of rest unto Yah. And we are to assemble ourselves together and to worship Him on this day. So when you meditate about the 7 months, some things will come to your mind. You can think about the Feast of Trumpets, Atonement, Feast of Tabernacles known as Sukkot, Shemitah and Jubilee. And we have an event of the flood that pertains with the building of the ark, and when the Father dried the water from the earth. For the face of the earth was dried when when Noah came out of the ark. It's a lot, as like I said, it's a lot of things to meditate, to feast upon, because those who are the true worshipers of Yah, we have the understanding now. We are worshiping our Father in spirit and in truth. Meaning that we are aware that we cannot keep this by our hand, but through the one that lives in us. This is why we can keep this perfectly and in righteousness. For many of the physical things or the carnal things has been replaced with the spiritual things now. And this is why we can cross every T and dot every I when we honor His holy days. This is why we are not breaking Torah, because the Father made a better and excellent way for us to keep it until He bring His kingdom. These are mysteries that I speak unto you that many are not teaching you, for they're not born of the water and of the Spirit. Okay? So I want you to meditate, because this is a very deep month. This is a very deep month. Now, a question unto you, my brothers and sisters. This is something for you to meditate on, because many are not aware of this, but for those who are keeping record of time, of history, and of His calendar, the Father want me to share this unto you. We know when the month or when the year shall begin for the Israelites, Yashrael, but it was different for the days of our forefathers, from the days of Adam. So my question unto you, when then their year began? Remember, it's different. It's very important, because when you read the foundation, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, you have to make sure you are keeping in the right time, because there was a change. So meditate on that. The question is unto you. This is something for you to know. When did the year start for Adam? When did the year start for Noah? All the way until we get to Moshe. For we have understanding that the year of the Israelites started in Aviv, which is the first month. And the Father has a reason why he did that. So they won't never forget what he did for them. Because there's deep messages in these months, y'all. Mysteries. Okay? So when you go to the calendar, like I said, I do not have the 7 month up yet. However, there are some important scriptures there pertaining to the 7th month. We know we have a fast in the 7th month, and there was also a biblical event that took place in the 7th month of one of the Israelites being killed or murdered. Something to look into. Okay, so those are listed. Because the prophet Zechariah said this, thus saith Yahuwah of hosts, the fast of the 4th month, and the fast of the 5th, and the fast of the 7th, and the fast of the 10th shall be to the house of Yahudah, Judah, joy and gladness, and cheerful feasts. Therefore love the truth and peace. Now, when you look at the word feast in the Hebrew, it means solemns or set times. So you're wondering, because this does take place. When you look at some things, it overlap in two major biblical events. It overlapped in the events of the flood in the day of Noah. It also, some of the months, not all the months, because Noah months was the 1st, the 4th, the 7th, and the 10th. Okay, dealing with the flood. Then the other major biblical events we have to look at in the time of the Babylonians in the captivity, and what he allowed the Babylonians to do, such as removing his holy vessels, burning his temple, destroying his holy cities, things like that. So this fast that Zechariah is mentioning is tying into those events, even with some event that was done by the Romans, because one of the dates, I think either two of the dates or one of the dates, had fell on the same date that the Babylonians did, with I think it's dealing with the destruction of Jerusalem, that fell on the same day. Like I said, the calendar lists all those biblical events. You can go back and see. And the Father wants you to pay attention to that, because it's a message there for you. So you won't be caught off guard. Because like King Solomon said, there's nothing new underneath the sun. So when you read Zechariah chapter 8, verse 19, you will say unto yourself, how can a fast be a cheerful feast? When you understand the message in that fast, remember, fasting is to what? To sacrifice oneself from a delight. And we learned that there are two types of fast. There's a physical fast one can do, from restraining from like food and water or beverages, okay, even sexual things too. Anything that's of delight you fast from. But then there's a second fast that many are not aware, and that fast deal with the purifying of your heart. Because our Father had always complained about the heart, especially when it came to Israel. He said, oh, if Israel have a heart, this is why the prophets prophesied unto you, Yashael, that in that day he would give you a new heart. He would circumcise your heart, for your heart is of stone. Okay, so as you meditate on this, you wonder, how can a fast be a cheerful feast? Because it doesn't pertain to eating or drinking. It's dealing with restraining. What is the message and what that means? So if it's the Father will, we will come back to that and talk about that, so you can understand. So on this calendar, I do list scriptures, okay, of some events you can look at, because these events are memorial to remind us of something deep and spiritual, y'all. Okay? Because again, Father said these fasts are a cheerful feast unto us. And it has to do with, thank you, Father. I want you to meditate on this verse. It is tied into truth and peace. He said, therefore love the truth and peace. And what did the Messiah say? Says that the truth shall set you free. That the truth shall set you free. And with peace, there's a mystery on the word peace when you look at the word Hebrew word shalom. So yeah, if it's the Father will, we would come back to this. We would come back. So we know on, let me see what date. It was the 10th day. Let me make sure, because I don't want to tell y'all something different. We have a fast known as Atonement coming. And we fast from sundown to sundown on that day. Just bear with me, y'all. Yep, the 10th day. So starting at sundown, as the sun is going down, it's between the two evenings, right? From the ninth day to the 10th. Okay, so as the sun is going down on the ninth day to the 10th, because it's transitioning days, we would start our fast at sundown, starting at sundown on the 10th day, ending at sundown on the end of the 10th day. So remember, it's between the two evenings. Okay. And the second fast I was telling you about, you can read about that in Isaiah chapter 58. So also, as you proceed further in this calendar record, I do list the scriptures that pertain to the flood. Okay. So I want you to go back and read about that, because it's very important that we look at the event that took place on the new moon of the 7th month. Okay. So this is the first day of the month. So we need to go back and look at that so we can remember, because we are the sons and daughters of Adam, and because we're in this flesh, we forget. And once we forget, we would go back to our evil ways. This is one of the reasons why the Father commands us to keep these things as a memorial. Okay? So now I'm going to close that out the way. So today I thought I'd do something different today. I want to open up in a scripture unto you. The Father remind me of something that he shared with me, and I'm going back and I'm going to read and, study it a little bit more. Because today is a holy day unto our Father, and he wants me to remind you that, remember, there's no buying and selling on his holy days, and Father has a reason for that. Now on the channel, there's a playlist that deals with the 7-day confirm, looking at the Gregorian calendar, the beast calendar. It goes really in deep. And I know one day I was listening to some brothers, and they shared this scripture that I'm going to share with you about the buying and selling. But before we go there, this is what the Father shared to me, and my mouth dropped, because even the book of Joshua will confirm what this chapter is saying unto us. This is why it's so important to free your spirit man, the one who live in you, the living bread, the bread of heaven, the living word. Because the more we stay in this word, the more we begin to see what our Father see and hear what our Father hear, the more we would be pleasing and acceptable unto him, because this living word is going to edify us, purify us, make us to be the vessel that the potter is shaping us into. Okay, so I want you, for those who have a copy of the 1611, I want you to go to the book known as Ben Sirach. This is the son of Sirach. Today they call it Ecclesiasticus. And we're going to come back to chapter 27, but I want us to go to chapter 39. Chapter 39. Okay. Ecclesiastes, known as Bensavar, chapter 39, it said, description of him that is truly wise, and exhortation to praise YAHUAH for his works, which are good to the good, and evil to them that are evil. So I thought we open with this today, because it's going to tie into these feast days coming up. Because many are wondering, what do we do? How do we now worship the Father on these feast days? How do we worship in spirit and truth? And I want to give you a simple instructions. The Father needs you to submerge yourself in His words, in His living word. The Father needs you to be familiar of what we did on these days. And the Father needs you to be familiar of what to come, of what we're going to do on these days. Preparing what? Your inner self first. That's where it starts. Many are doing it backwards. They don't start on the outer appearance. No. Father wants you to begin on the inside. This is why the Messiah is saying to us, is not what defile a man, what he eats, okay, what he put into him that comes from the outside. What defiles Adam, do you hear me, Israelite and Gentile? It what you speak out of your mouth, which come from your heart. This is where you begin with your walk, with your journey, with keeping his holy days. Remember, he said, these are a memorial unto you. Now, we may do some of the physical acts, or I'll say some of the righteous physical acts, but what the Father wants you to really grasp, he needs for you to spend time with him on these holy days in his word. And for those who have a hard time with reading, or you're struggling, guess what? We're in a time of what? Technology. So the Bible, even the 1611, y'all, I found the Apocrypha too. The whole Bible, as well as many other books, has been now on audio where you can hear it. So all you got to do is play the audio and follow along. Because I'm telling y'all from my own personal experience that when you hear the word, see the word, and touch the pages, you can hear what the word is telling unto you. Remember, it is his spirit, it is his comforter that shall be your teacher now. You do not have to go to man. You do not have to go to them to intercede for you. He has put that on hold now. He has given us something greater, something excellent now. And many of us do not know how to tap into the power because, again, some of y'all don't even know who you are. I'm even talking to the Israelites. Y'all don't really know who you are. Because I asked this question all the time, who is Adam? Because once you understand who Adam is, then you know who you are. Then you know how to tap in that power. And then Satan will have no control over you, no reign over you, no power over you. Okay. So we're going to read verse 1 through 11. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in the prophecy. So this right now telling you where you should be, what you should be doing. We should be always keeping our mind on his living word, because his living word is the law, because the law is him. Okay. And as we're keeping our mind on him, as written in the book of Joshua, we should be praying, fasting, and meditating on this living word. And whereas we are doing that, guess what? His wisdom will come unto you. And we know wisdom is a spirit, and she is our mother. And because of the spirit of wisdom that is upon us, we will be what? Constantly into these prophecies, watching and praying and seeing what is coming to pass. Because wisdom is upon us, giving us understanding of these prophecies. Do y'all see that? So I'm going to read this verse one more time, because this is the verse you need to highlight, because this is the verse he shared with me, because this is the characteristics that should be upon us now, brothers and sisters. He said, again, the living word say this, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecies. Do y'all hear that? This is where you should be at now. Okay. Verse 2. He would keep the sayings of the renowned men where subtle parables are, he will be there also. So just as what everything the Messiah said unto us, we remember his saying and understand those sayings and apply those sayings to our life. Just as the prophets, Isaiah and Ezekiel and Amos, all of them, even Adam. This is where you should be now, brothers and sisters. Verse 3, he would seek out the secrets of grave sentences and be conversed in dark parables. Do you see that? The mysteries of Yah will be revealed unto you. As the Father said, as you draw nigh unto me, I will draw nigh unto you. This is how you draw nigh unto him, brothers and sisters. Again, you can't get it through these social media channels. You're going to have to spend some time with the Father. Father know what you understand. Because remember, all understanding comes from him. He has to open up your understanding. Do not be deceived by the world, because the world want to what's the word I'm looking for now? The world wants to put labels on people and push them away and say, they can't get it because they're not intelligent or they're dumb or they're stupid. No, no, no. What the Father has been teaching me, and it's in the gospel. He gives you an example with the disciples. Look what the Messiah do unto them. He has to open your understanding. You cannot do this by your hand. All things come by the Spirit. So if he don't open your understanding, this is why you don't understand some things. This is why you have to come unto him and ask him and be patient and wait for the right season and time when he can open your understanding. Because remember, he is your Father. He knows best. Because some that he knows, if he give them the understanding and the knowledge and the wisdom, pride will fall upon them and they will get big-headed and then they will lose their soul. This is why. Because their heart ain't right. Okay? Remember, Father know best. So, if you don't understand, that's okay. All he's asking you for you to take a step, and he to take a step, and continue to take a step. Don't stop. He would give it unto you in the right time and right seasons. All right. Verse 4, he shall serve among great men and appear before princes. He will travail through strange countries, for he hath tried the good and the evil among men. These are characteristics that will fall upon you, brothers and sisters. He would give his heart to resort early to YAHUAH that made him, and will pray before the Most High, and will open his mouth in prayer and make supplications for his sins. When the great Adonai will, when the great Lord will, y'all, he shall be filled with the spirit of understanding, and he shall pour out wise sentences and give thanks unto YAHUAH in his prayer. Do y'all see this? I keep telling y'all, all things come by the Spirit. Can't get it through books. Can't get it through sitting under the teachings of a man that's in the flesh. This come by Spirit. And we have someone in our history that is, of this world in this time. I want you to read Nat Turner Confession. On the channel, in the video description box, we have access to Nat Turner Confession. You will see what I'm talking about. He's proven unto you, I would take the uneducated and show the world my wisdom, my understanding, and my knowledge. Nat Turner, who is our ancestors of the Israelites, he put his spirit upon him. And believe me, the heathens, the Gentiles, was amazed at this man's knowledge. Verse 7, he shall direct his counsel and knowledge in his secrets. Shall he meditate? Do y'all hear this again? Again, we have to meditate on this word, y'all. Got to spend some time with the Father. I want to read this again. He shall direct his counsel and knowledge, and in his secrets shall he meditate. We meditate on his secrets, on the secrets of Yah. And we are directed by our Father. He counsels us. He give us knowledge. But his knowledge, not the knowledge of this world, is totally different. Verse 8. He shall show forth that which he have learned, and shall glory in the law of the covenant of Yahuwah. There it go again, y'all. Covenant, the law of the covenant of Yahuwah. I speak unto you, Christian. In the Greek tongue, they say Christianity. Do not be deceived by the fourth beast church and say that the law is put away with. They don't even understand the law and what the law is. They don't even understand what took place in the new covenant when the new covenant tells you that your schoolmaster changed. Instead of you getting it from the paper, or instead of it dictated unto you, because you know there was very little room for grace and mercy. But he put you under the one who is holy, the one is who is our high priest, the one who will teach you and give you understanding how to keep the law in the fourth beast kingdom. Mysteries. Okay. Question unto you. How do you think Adam know what to offer? Adam and all those who came after him, who were righteous to our Father in heaven. How do you think they know what to offer to our Father in those sacrifices? Where do you think it came from? Again, y'all thinking carnal. The law is not words on a paper. The law is spirit. And he that is the comforter is the law. For he is the Aleph, and he is the Tau. In the Greek tongue, they said Alpha and Omega. And when you see him, you see his Father. For they are the same. They have the same mind. They are on one accord. Just like man and wife are one. All right, verse 9. Many shall commend his understanding, and so long as the world endureth, it shall not be blotted out. His memorial shall not depart away, and his name shall live from generation to generation. We can see that from Adam, Enoch, Noah, Jacob, who is now Israel. We see all of the righteous one before us, even today, like King David, Solomon, all of them. They are still talked about this day. Okay. Verse 10. Nation shall show forth his wisdom, and the congregation shall declare his praise. If he die, he shall live greater name than 1,000. And if he live, he shall increase it. So, in other words, with the verse 11, because the spirit of Yah is upon him, which bring the knowledge, wisdom, understanding, his name, or he would be well known more in comparison to 1,000 who was also on the platform. He would be greater than them. And this is just one. Even if he lived, his name would be increased, or meaning that he would be well known more throughout the four corners of the earth. So I want to say this unto you because they're not teaching y'all. Many are not seeking the greatest inheritance that the Father has for us, Israelites and Gentiles. Many are not. They are going after the carnal things. And you know the Father will give you according to what's your heart. He will do it. So I would say this unto you so you would know. So when that day happened, you cannot say no one told you. There is a greater inheritance that the Father has for you, higher than what's in the earth. Many are only focused on land and having many wives, carnal things. But the greatest inheritance is in the beginning, and it's also in our Father prayer. And once you understand what is the greater inheritance, then you will have it all. It is far worth more than any gold, precious metals, and stones. It is far more worth than land. It is definitely far more worth than having many wives. Okay. So I thought I'd share that unto y'all today. So now let's get back to Ben Sirah, chapter 27, because this is a holy day unto our Father. This is the Feast of Trumpets, which is the Feast of Trumpets to remind us that the day is coming that he's going to send forth his son, who is the King of Kings, to take down the fourth beast kingdom, to bring the righteousness back in the earth, and to prepare the way for his Father to come. And his son is going to execute judgment here in the earth. Read Revelations 14, Matthew 13, and also I think the book of Mark chapter 9, because it's going to tell you what the Messiah role is when he come back as the lion and with a rod of iron. I'm going to look that up for you. I think it's in Mark 9, but I want to make sure I give you the right chapter. I'm checking now. Okay, I don't see it in Mark 9, so it has to be in the book of John. Let me see if it's in the book of John. Hold on, y'all. Okay, it's in the book of John, chapter 5, and you will see what is the Messiah role. Okay, he is to execute judgment in the earth. Okay, he is to take down the fourth beast kingdom, which is Rome, and we know the nation, the tribe that is known as Rome is Edom, Esau. Okay, and those other nations who have joined themselves unto Rome, he's going to take them down. He is the seed of Jacob, and Jacob means just supplanter. He replaced, or he took the place of his brother Esau, because if the inheritance went unto Esau, none of us could be redeemed or be restored back to the status of Adam. This is why it fell upon Jacob, because Jacob was not a thief. He bought the inheritance fair and square, so the inheritance belonged unto him. And a reason why I can speak this unto you, because the Father helped me to understand that by going back to the foundation. You got to know foundation. Again, I see why the Roman Christian church been teaching that lie for years, saying that Jacob was a thief, but his name do not mean thief. His name means supplanter. That means to take the place of one. So we see why that had to be done. Even his mother understood that prophecy as well, because the seed or a descendant of Jacob, who's now is Israel, because he's a prince of Yah, of the sons of Adam. He's a prince. His seed will come and reign upon the earth. Do you see how all that lines up? So now we understand why Ezra have written in the book of the Apocrypha in 2nd Ezra chapter 6, why this is the end. This is why Esau is the end of the world, and the world to follow after Esau is Jacob, because the Messiah is a descendant of Jacob. Like I said, everything tied in together. So when we go back to Ezekiel chapter 27, on this holy day of the Feast of Trumpets, as well as the other holy days, we should not be buying and selling. And the Father has a reason. And one day, as I was watching videos, I came across these brothers who shared these scriptures. This was like, I don't know how many years ago, but it stuck with me, y'all. And I said, there it go. And it relates to us now more than ever before, because now we see why the Father commands us not to buy and sell on his holy days. It is to prep you and train you for what is about to happen now in the fourth beast. And it deals with Revelation 13. For Ben Sirah says in the chapter summary, it said, of sins and selling and buying. Our speech would tell what is in us. A friend is lost by discovering his secrets. He that diggeth a pit shall fall into it. Okay, so the verses I'm going to read unto you to give you understanding about the buying and selling. This is to prep and train you. This is to strengthen your faith. So that way you will not fear what they would do unto you. Remember what the Father said. Do not fear the one who can kill your body, but fear the Holy One who can kill and destroy your soul, who can kill your body and destroy your soul in Sheol. That is the one we should fear. Because remember, you always have a choice. See, Satan play games and try to trip you up and think that you don't have a choice by threatening you, such as I would kill your family, or I would take food from you, or you cannot work, or you cannot buy and sell. But know this, we have free will. That's what Satan do. He play these mind games and tricks to make you think you don't have a choice, because at the end of the day, he would look you in your face and say, I didn't make you do it. You chose to do it. Do you see how they play? They're very cunning. That's how the serpent is. So verse 1 says, many have sinned for a small matter, and he that seeketh for abundance will turn his eyes away. And that's very true. We've seen many crimes created for crazy stuff. We're like, you willing to go to jail for that? Like such as stealing a candy bar. You willing to serve time for that? So we can see that it's evident and that it's true. We also see that those who seek abundance, those who are very greedy, they always will turn their eyes away. That means let me make sure I look at this correctly before I tell you. Make sure I'm in the right spot. Okay. So when he said turn his eyes away, it does mean he would turn his eyes away from the righteousness of Yah. From the righteousness of Yah. Okay. Turns his eye away from what should be done right, but look towards evil. Okay. Verse 2, as a nail sticketh fast between the joinings of the stone. Now, here's the Father giving us a parable, giving us an example. So, as a nail join two stones together, a nail can bring two things together. Okay. So do sin stick close between buying and selling. And I have to share this with you. I have seen many who assemble themselves together and say, well, we're going to have a day of worship for Yah. And they be buying and selling that day. It's always about buying and selling. Why can't it be about just worshiping the Father? Why can't it be that we can just come together and worship Him and leave out the buying and selling? Now you begin to understand why the Messiah was very upset and told him, you will not make my house of thieves and robbers. This is a house of prayer. And remember now, we are His house now. We are the tabernacle. We are the temple where His Holy Spirit dwelt in us. Okay? So I want to share that with you. Now, if there's some precepts you want to read with this, so let me go to the precepts. That would give you more understanding about the buying and selling. You can read about that in Proverbs chapter 28, verse 21. Then Proverbs chapter 23, verse 4. And 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9. And we know what 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 9 would deal with. That's money being the root of all evil. But now you can see how deep this goes. Now you can see why he commanded the Israelites not to buy and sell on his holy days. Because it would lead you to commit sin. Because people have done a lot of wicked things behind money. Because money can be many things. It can be that paper we see today. It can be the gold and silver. Many had commit wickedness or evil in the sight of the Most High Yah eyes over this. So this is why he tells us not to buy and sell on his holy days. And this including the new moon days, y'all. So I thought I'd share that with you. So which bring me to this. Let us go to Numbers chapter 28. Because I do want to read the scriptures that does pertain to the Feast of Trumpets. Okay, so we can see what did they do on this day. All right. So I'm in Numbers chapter 28. Now, I will share this with you. The Feast of Trumpet is treated, which is the new moon day of the 7th month, okay, is treated differently from any other new moon day. And you'll see why. Let us read. So I'm in Numbers chapter 28. It said, offerings to be observed: the continual burnt offering, the offering on the Sabbath, on the new moons, at the Passover, in the first day of fruits. So, yes, this is Numbers 28. I need to go to Numbers 29. Sorry about that. Okay. But I do want you to read Numbers 28 for your homework so you can see what was done on these holy days. Okay, because there is a difference between them. Okay. Now we go to Numbers 29. So Number 29 chapter summary say, the offering at the Feast of Trumpets, at the day of afflicting their souls, and on the 8 days of the Feast of Tabernacles. So today I'm only going to read unto you the verses that pertains to the Feast of Trumpets. If you look into the video description box, y'all, there's tons of videos where the Father has shared mysteries about these holy days, and you can you can review them in your spare time. But the most important thing I want to stress into you, y'all, I want you to spend time with the Father yourself in this word. Spend time with him. You're not going to get it from a video. You're going to get it when you spend time with him, y'all. And that's why he had me to share all these scriptures I'm reading to you. Notice he said, when you pray, when you meditate, how? You got to get in his word. And if you don't like reading, ask the Father to help you. Because one of the things that he gave us, the Bible now is on audio, y'all. The 1611 is on audio, as well as other sacred books are on audio. So we have no excuse now. Okay. So we'll start in verse 1. It says that in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have a holy convocation. Ye shall do no servile work. It is a day of blowing of the trumpets unto you. Okay. Now, this verse is saying a lot to me. I mean, everything is pointing out. Again, he's telling me, remember the walls of Jericho. Remember. Okay. The walls of Jericho. Now, I know the walls of Jericho happened a different month, but it has the same message, and it's telling us something deep. Okay. Now, this has already been confirmed by the living word that the Feast of Trumpet happens on the first day of the month, on the new moon day. Okay. And on this day, we are to assemble ourselves. That's what holy convocation means. We are to come together, and we are not to do any work on his holy day. Now, this is the only new moon day, y'all, where we don't do any work on. Do y'all hear me? This is the only new moon day that we don't do any work. That's why I'm telling y'all to read Numbers 28. And there's examples of this. Okay. Again, those who have read the 1611 will be familiar with those examples. Okay. But this is the only new moon day where you do not do any work. I mean, this is the only new moon day that is a Sabbath day unto y'all, that is a day of rest. The other new moon days is just a holy day unto him. But for all of these holy days, we are not to buy and sell. All right, very important. Go back and just meditate. So on this day, we are to, as a memorial, we are to blow the trumpets. As we're blowing the trumpets, this is to remind us of the coming of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. For he shall execute judgment in the earth. He shall put the earth back into the hands of the righteousness, and he shall get the earth in check. And they will keep the commandments of Yah. That's why he has that rod of iron. He's going to force it now. Okay. And once he does his part for 1,000 years, then the Father would come in the 15th day of creation, which is the 10th day of Adam. Completion. 10 means completion. In the 3rd week from creation. Something to think about, right? All right. Verse 2. And ye shall offer a burnt offering for a sweet savor unto Yahuwah, 1 young bullock, 1 ram, and 7 lambs of the first year without blemish. As you see, our Father's particular. It's the reason why he commands us to do these things. And we see that these things will be done again in the kingdom to come. Offerings will be made, animal sacrifices. And I have to say this, I have to stress this. Again, to understand why I'm stressing this, you got to read the sealed book of Moses. For it will give you understanding of Genesis. It will give you understanding why Abel offerings was acceptable and pleasing unto Yah, versus why Cain offering was not acceptable. And Abel, because we just read Ben Sirah, chapter was it 39? That chapter, because he's a renowned, he's famous. He was able to tap into one of the mysteries to give us understanding why we offer an animal sacrifice. Something to think about. Then when you understand that, then you understand Paul's writings. Because I understand the gray areas. Okay? Remember, Satan got his doctrines out here too. And verse 2 will let you know that the Father was the first one who was the creator of what? The cookout. He was the creator of what? Grilling out. And if you understand anything about burnt offerings, now I ain't lie, something about I was like eating a piece of burnt meat. I don't know why I did, but I just like the taste and everything. Well, if you know anything about burnt things, they would cleanse you. They would purify the body, remove impurities from the body. Okay? Verse 3. And their meat often shall be of flour mingled with oil, 3/10 del for a bullock, and 2/10 del for a ram, and 1/10 del for one lamb throughout the 7 lambs, and 1 kid of the goats for a sin offering to make an atonement for you. Even on the Feast of Trumpet Day, he always had an atonement offering. Like I say, it's good to go back to study these sacrifices and what was offered on these days and compare. Okay? So, as you see, the meat offering in this verse is dealing with a grain. Okay, and we know that grain can either come from wheat or from barley. Okay, so this meat offering is a grain offering that is offered beside these burnt offerings, right? And in addition to that, a sin offering must be made to atone them, and that sin offering came from a kid of a goat. Something to pay attention, because goats and sheep can be interchanged. Go back to Exodus 12. Look what could be for your lamb. You could have a sheep or a goat. But for this particular offering, the Father is commanding a goat to atone you. Now, we know this is the old covenant and we're in the new covenant, and the Father want me to bring this out. You need to ask yourself now, what is your sin offering? What is your burnt offering? What is your meat offering? I'm going to give it to you. It is Yahusha HaMashiach. This is how we are able to fulfill these offerings. We are completing these offerings in spirit and in truth, because we have received his Son, who is a spirit too. Okay, he is holy, he is divine, he is sacred, and he lives in us. For we are the what? The house, the tabernacle, the temple. And this is why our praise, our songs, our hymns, and we offer our life as a living sacrifice, meaning that we do not partake in the things of the world. We no longer do those things that is delightful unto the flesh. So we are sacrificing that for our Father, because we are showing him faith in that we believe in his promises. We believe that he's going to restore us back to the status of Adam. Okay? So that's what takes the place of these offerings for right now. I'm giving y'all mysteries right now. I'm giving y'all the messages right now. This is how you're able to cross every T and dot every I in Torah, not by your hand again. It's because of the Holy One who lives in you. Another example I want to give to you is 1 Peter chapter 3. This is why the woman can win her husband over in conversation, because of the hidden man in her heart. That is Yahushua HaMashiach. Because it's not her speaking, it is he speaking to the husband through her. So that's the same with you. When the Father look at you, he don't see you in this abominable or sinful flesh. He sees his Son in you crying out, Abba, as written in Romans 8. Because his Son is Torah, and he was perfect, and he crossed every T and he dot every I. He did not break not one commandment. All right, let's keep going. Now, this is the verse that you really want to highlight and pay attention, because once you study these holy days of what's offered, you begin to see the difference. So, on the feast of Trumpet Day, which fall on the first day of the seventh month, which is a new moon day, in addition to these offerings, you to offer these offerings beside it. So the offering that you're offering to beside it is the burnt offering of the month. Now, to understand what is the burnt offering of the month, you're going to have to read Numbers 28. That's your homework. Okay? So the burnt offering of the month is offered beside these offerings, and the burnt offering of the month, along with his meat offering, and the daily burnt offering, and the daily burnt offering is offered, along with his meat offering, and their drink offerings are offered along with that. So, what is the daily burnt offering? You have to go back to Numbers 28. That's your daily sacrifice. Okay. So, not only is those offerings that's offered above, like starting from verse 2 through 5. In addition to that, we are also to offer the burnt offering of the month along with his meat offering and his drink offerings. We are also to offer the daily sacrifice along with his meat offering and his drink offering according to the instructions that are written in those scrolls, like Numbers 28, Leviticus 23, etc. Okay? Because he said, according to their manner, for a sweet savor, a sacrifice made by fire unto Yahuwah. And I just said to y'all about a mystery of what I saw in that. Just as those sacrifices had to go through the fire, and once they go through a fire, they became sweet, a sweet savor unto Yah, mean pleasing, acceptable, receivable. The same is with us. So the last thing I want to say unto you to close this out, we'll go to Zechariah chapter 13, because now we begin to understand the prophecy that's upon Yashrael. Because even through the Book of the Mormons, even through Matthew 24, we have learned that the trials and tribulation that the Messiah was talking about was the trials and tribulation of the Jews, of the Judeans, of the Yahudim, the Israelites, okay? So through their trials and tribulation that started from that time when the sheep was taken out, when the shepherd was taken out of this world, the sheep would be scattered, right? So from that time, we have been having trials and tribulation, great trials and tribulation. And it's a reason for that. We had to go through the fire because it was given unto the prophet Zechariah in chapter 13. And now I understand it. I get it. So Zechariah chapter 13, in the chapter summary, it says, the fountain of purgation for Jerusalem from idolatry and false prophecy, the death of the Messiah, and the trial of a third part. Now, this is the part you want to highlight. Since the death of the Messiah, since the death of the of Yahushua Mashiach, in other words, since of his resurrection, the Israelites will go through their trials and tribulation. That's what the gospel was telling you. And I know many of the Christians and misinterpret that because of the Roman Christian Church, because of the fourth beast church. Okay, you got to read Revelation 12 because we know the woman in Revelation 12 is Yashrael, the nation Israel. And Father remind me, I had to rebuke a so-called prophetess about it, and I see that she hear the comments, and now she had crossed over to our side. But I want to let that prophetess know, if she's listening to this message, Father see what you're doing, and Father know who you are. And because you did not repent and correct and be honest to the people, and you continue in your deceitful ways, he's going to expose you. Okay? All right, let's go to verse 7. It said, "Awake, O sword, against my shepherd, and against the man that is my fellow, saith Yahuwah of hosts. Smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered, and I return my hand upon the little ones." So we have seen that come to pass, and it's still in its fulfillment. And the precept for that is Matthew chapter 26, verse 31, and Matthew chapter 14, verse 27. So we can see that taking place. Okay. Because we know when he said, "Awake, O sword," that means what does swords do? It brings death. It is to take one's life. Okay. Verse 8. "And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith Yahuwah, two parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein." Verse 9. "And I will bring the third through the fire, and will refine them as silver is refined, and will try them as gold is tried. They shall call on my name, and I will hear them. And I will say, It is my people, and they shall say, Yahuwah is my God, my Elohim." So read Revelation 12, and you will understand that many, many Israelites is going to die. It is prophesied by Enoch too. He said the sheep shall burn. They're going to burn, because as written in Romans 11, let me make sure. Many of them want the riches of the Gentile. They want the things of this world, or they are in love with this world. Okay, and they don't want to let it go. And my sister shared me in First John chapter 1 and 2 when she was reading. She shared with me that chapter. In other words, the followers let us know that many are going to be destroyed because they love this world so much, including many Israelites. So many sheep's going to burn. But the sheep that endure the fire will not burn, will not be consumed by his judgments that he put upon this earth. They will endure and come through and be like silver and gold. Because just like you put silver and gold in fire, it removes the impurity. They call it I think it's called the dross. Because there'd be some impure things in those metals. So so the fire will remove the impurities that's in those metals. But that's the same thing with the third part that comes to the fire. What's ever in your heart that has kept your heart like stone or hardened will be removed. And this is why I've been preaching unto y'all about the three groups. Okay, you have the bride of Messiah, you have the 144, and you have the nation Israel. And when you read Revelation 12 and with the writings of Isaiah 11, and you study the three-star solemn feast days, because we know the first harvest has been done. That's the barley harvest with the Messiah and the saints. The second harvest would be the wheat harvest. That's the harvest we're waiting for now. The third harvest will be when the Father sent his hand out a second time to gather those who are his, to bring them so they can be anointed and become those holy vessels, as the prophet Zechariah said in chapter 14. Then you begin to stay in Revelation 12, why that other part would have to face the beast because they didn't get it right the first time. So they have to go through another purgement. This is why the Father gave unto me a dream, letting me know we're in the season of perfection. He is perfecting you right now. And when I'm saying he's perfecting you, it's not going to feel good, but it is to perfect you, to get your heart right with him. So he can put his spirit in you. Mysteries. I know I'm speaking a lot of sacred things, but all these things come from the prophet's writings that I'm speaking unto you. So read Romans 11, 2. Let me make sure I'm giving you the right chapter. Because then you begin to understand why all Israel is not Israel, because they love this world. And this even go for the awakened Israelites. It's not also for the unawakened. It's also go for the I also go for the awakened Israelites, because you think because you're awakened that this will not happen to you. That's not true. If you're not following the instruction of the Messiah, and your heart is not right with the Father, and you love this world, you love having a platform, you love having the riches, or what's ever keeping you from the Father, you will not be able to endure the fire that's about to come upon this world. Meaning that the judgments, all the judgments that he's about to execute upon this world, you will not be able to endure. This is how serious it is. So yes, read Romans 11. Okay. So that would conclude. I hope y'all got a great edification from this word today on his holy day, which is Feast of Trumpets. Remember, no buying and selling. If you have sinned, just repent, make it right with the Father, and just practice it until you can perfect it. That's what I did, y'all. I practiced this till I perfected. I mean, it. The Father know that you don't know everything. The Father know that you're still learning. But keep taking that step. Don't get up. I mean, don't lay there and waddle. Get up. Brush yourself off. Keep taking that step until you get it, until you perfect it, till you master it. Okay? So no buying and selling today. Take this time to think about him. Think about this is the day of the Feast of Trumpets. Keep your mind on him. Stay in the living word, and go back and look at Torah, because those physical things that that my ancestors had to do are examples giving us understanding what's going to take place with you now, what's coming. So we are to be like that burnt sacrifice. We are to go through the fire so we can be pleasing and acceptable unto the Father, y'all. And when we do that, our heart will come out pure like gold and silver. There'll be no impurities. As I'm speaking of this unto you, read Hebrews chapter 4, because the Father knows your thoughts, your intentions, and those evil thoughts and intentions can defile you, making you not holy and acceptable unto Him. Okay? He ought to know those who take a delight in His holy days, and those who just going through the ritual and complain or murmur and whatever. He knows. He knows those who truly love him, and those who truly love to keep his commandment versus those who don't. He knows, y'all. So again, I cannot stress unto you, submerge yourself in this living word and pray unto the Father that he open up your understanding so you can see what he see and hear what he hear. Okay? All right, my family, continue to preach that the kingdom of heaven is at hand, for it's truly at hand. Make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10, and baptize the people in the name of Yahusha HaMashiach, for the Lamb set the example of the water baptism and the Holy Spirit baptism, and the apostle continue to both. As far as the date, we are in the heathen month known as October, which is the 8th day in the year of 2021 AD. Far as the year from Adam, we're in the 8th day from Adam, starting from the 7,001st year, ending in the 8,000 year. Far as the date from creation, we're in the 13th day of creation, starting from 13,000, ending in 13,999. Far as the day of the month, we're in the 7th month, known as Ethionim. In the Babylonian tongue, they say Tusi. This is the first day of the month. Far as the date of the sun, we're in the sun's 7th month, and I'm trying to remember. Let me get my calendar, because I remember the Sabbath day was the 23rd, if I have it correct. So if the Sabbath day was the 23rd of the sun's 7th month, then if I have this correct, we're probably in the sun's 7th month and 25th day. But do me a favor, go to the calendar and check that date. What I mean is, all you have to do is look at the sun's 6th month, and I know the 6th month probably have 30 days now. So look at the date, wonder what date that would have been for the sun's day of that month. Then you'll know what the day of the sun is for today. If not, then wait for the details of the new moon report. Okay, wait for those details, and then you'll get the date of the sun. But right now we're still in the sun's 7th month. far as when the Father day began, it began from sundown to sundown. So the new moon day started on the heathen day known as October the 7th to October the 8th, from sundown to sundown. Okay. Again, make sure the people receive salvation as written in Romans chapter 10. And if you have no one to baptize you, guess what? You can do it yourself. Remember, faith must go in hand with works. Exercise your faith. For the living words say that the water is the second witness in the earth, his heavens is a witness, and the earth is a witness unto our Father. And they all can report back unto him of those who had entered into the renewed marriage known as the new covenant. And the same is with the Holy Spirit baptism, y'all. The Father made it real easy for us. All we have to do is ask him, and he would give it unto us. Ask in the name of his Son, Yahusha HaMashiach. And he would give it according to your heart. Do y'all hear what I'm saying? According to your heart, to your faith, and your words. Love you all, and shalom.